Wait for it. Wait for it. If that doesn't perfectly sum up the Lions as a franchise, I don't know what does. I mean, they can't even blow up their own stadium right. We've been waiting on this franchise forever. Actually, just 60 years, but who's counting, right? It's been 60 years since they won the NFL championship. They've only won one playoff game since. That was 26 years ago. And it's not going to change anytime soon. So here we are. We're still waiting. Days like yesterday are why we are still waiting. The Lions got off to another slow start in Baltimore. They have now been outscored 36-3 in the first quarter of the last 4 games. They fell behind 20-0 at halftime yesterday. When they actually got themselves together in the third, they cut the lead to 7 on this touchdown by some guy named Tion Green. But then in typical Lions fashion, Jim Caldwell failed to challenge a call or call a timeout because his defense wasn't even lined up, and they got gashed for 23 yards on 3rd and 7. Because there were only 9 guys on the field. Not even 10. 9. How does that happen? The Ravens scored, the momentum was gone, and that was it. The Lions fall to 6-6. Their playoff chances are all but gone, and Caldwell had no explanation for having 9 guys on the field after the game.
Can't tell you anything other than the fact that that's wrong. Should never happen. That's my fault.
Now, they actually did blow up the Silverdome today. If you didn't know, it happened about an hour ago. JR, last time I checked, they play with 11 guys on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I've had some high school coaches have heard me yell the same thing at them from the sideline, too.
It's unbelievable. We are saying goodbye to 2 buildings in 2 consecutive days. Yesterday, the Red Wings said goodbye to the Joe Louis Arena. Tonight, the Pistons will close the doors to the Palace of Auburn Hills. We've really never seen anything like this outside of when the Brooklyn Dodgers and New York Giants both left New York for California back in the 50s. This was a state-of-the-art building when they built it, and it still is 29 years later. The Pistons were a floundering franchise, and they became wildly successful once coming here to the Palace. Let's take a look back at some great memories. They say a man's home is his castle. In the case of the Detroit Pistons, it was their palace. The name chosen by the fans couldn't have been more perfect. The building in Auburn Hills changed the game. With its 180 suites built into the bowl, its design set the standard for every arena built since. And its tenants did the same for the NBA, not once, but twice over. The boys were so bad, they weren't just good, they were great. The Pistons won the NBA title in their first season playing at the Palace, then again the next year. The team's connection to the fans led to 245 straight sellouts to see those bad boys, and then 259 more to see the going-to-work boys, who finally delivered the crown jewel, winning the 2004 NBA championship at home on the Palace floor. The memories were not all great, but none will ever be forgotten. Knocking off the Bulls in Game 7, Grant Hill crossing over Michael Jordan, Chauncey's big shot. But after 29 years, it's time to say goodbye. The Pistons are moving back downtown and will officially become once again. The Pistons are one of only 8 franchises to win 3 NBA championships. They did it all right here. The Tigers will play the winner of this game between Flushing and the 3-time state champion Lowell. Raiders up 7-6 late in the third when the future Grand Valley Laker Kel Endicott lets it fly. Killer Kel hits Rourke Landis in stride, 73 yards to the crib. That gives Flushing a 14-6 lead. Jump ahead to the fourth. The Red Arrows on the doorstep. Zach Cruz plows his way through that door. 2-pointer good. They're tied at 14. The Raiders come right back at him. Endicott keeps it himself this time. And the dude's so strong, he could rip out the pages of Facebook. drags everyone 18 yards for the go-ahead score. And see, I told you, he's strong. Flushing takes a 20-14 lead, but Lowell marches right down the field, all the way to the 13. Cruz looking to score, but he's picked off by Noah Hutchinson, and that would do it. Flushing wins its first playoff game in 3 years, 20-14. The 2007 game was also a thriller. The Spartans were up 10 with less than 8 minutes to go, but Chad Henne then hit Mario Manningham for a 31-yard touch in the final minutes to give Michigan its 6th straight win over MSU and its first over Mark D'Antonio. But it's what happened after the game that changed the rivalry forever. 2 words, a nickname, a sibling, which is now 10 years old, but grew up almost overnight.
Thought it was funny. You know, they got excited. It's good. You know, sometimes you get your little brother excited when you're playing basketball and stuff. You let him get the lead, and then you just come back and take it back.
Do you think of Michigan State as your little brother?
Yep.
You probably remember the professional wrestler named Dusty Rhodes. Back in the 80s, Dusty was also in charge of writing the storylines and deciding who would win and lose the matches in the NWA. Rhodes became infamous for constantly booking matches. You thought the good guy won and then won the match and the championship, but then the decision got reversed because of some technicality, and that incensed the fans. It became known as the Dusty Finish. Well, the Booker man must have been in Detroit Sunday because the Lions got Dusty finished. It looked like the Lions were going to win the game. Matthew Stafford hits Golden Tate for the go-ahead touchdown with just 8 seconds to play. Now, all scoring plays are reviewed, and after review, they decided that Tate's knee was down while the defender had his hand on Golden's shoulder. That counts as a tackle, and since it wasn't a touchdown, there is a mandatory 10-second runoff. There were only 8 seconds left on the clock, so the game was over. The Lions thought they got the hot tag and made the last-second comeback against the best team in the NFC. Wrong. Dusty finished. Detroit falls to 2-1, 30-26. We've seen some horrible ceremonial first pitches over the years, even from some of the best athletes on the planet. Then there's this throw by 50 Cent. Painful. Speaking of pain, a young man named Jordan from Boston went with the literal meaning of the word when throwing out the first pitch last night.
All right, Jordan, fire it in there.
Oh, fire it in there he did. Right in there. I got nothing, man. The worst part is Jordan is a high school pitcher. Well, the other thing, that's the worst part. I'm going to go out on a limb. That is the most painful first pitch of all time.
It's always going to be home to me, but, you know, memories are always going to be with you. That championship stuff is always going to be here.
Rockin' Rick couldn't have said it better. We may have said goodbye to both the Palace and the Joe in the last 2 days, but the memories the Pistons and Wings gave us in those buildings will never be forgotten. The Piston legends on hand gushed over some of their favorite Palace memories last night. I asked Isaiah Thomas about Bill Laimbeer jersey retirement night back in 1995. There was a young kid who snuck down to the floor during halftime where George Blaha was interviewing the former point guard. When the interview was over, Zeke had already made his way halfway across the Palace court on his way back to his suite before that kid finally got the courage to yell Isaiah's name and ask for an autograph. Zeke being Zeke, he came all the way back over and signed that kid's basketball card. Now, a lot of players would have just ignored that kid and kept on walking. I asked Isaiah why he didn't and why the Palace fans were so special.
I was that kid one time. I used to be that kid standing outside the arena, begging for gym shoes, asking for an autograph, and just wanting to be acknowledged. And what I try to do with every person that I meet is just acknowledge them and let them know that there is a human connection. So someone called my name and wanted an autograph. And if I can sign his or her autograph and make their day, Wow, what a gift.
Well, that kid was me, man, and it's still hanging on my wall. So it's right there, baby. Appreciate it, man.
Look at you.
Good to see you again, man. Yes, sir.
Wow, congratulations.
There it is. It's the card that Zeke signed for me at my first Piston game 22 years ago. Palace memories being made right down till the second they locked the doors, guys.